Welcome back, football fans. Premier League games are being played today, Saturday the 9th of May. Join me as we look through all of the key insights and data before making predictions. Without further ado, let's get into it. So just a quick overview of the games that are being played today, and as always, if you want a video tomorrow, 500 likes is the target. Can we do it? Can you do it? You're in control. Get down there, hit the like button. Liverpool against Chelsea sees the return of a 12:30 kickoff. Chelsea come into this 9th place. Their season has just capitulated, hasn't it? We will take a deeper look at their demise when we check out that game in a moment. Sunderland in celebration mode. They've had a fantastic first season back in the Premier League. Manchester United under Michael Carrick, superb as well. Manchester United fans, I'm sure, wouldn't have expected this kind of season when Amorim was sacked. They would have been happy with just competing for a Champions League spot. He's got them third. They've secured it already. So this one could be a bit of an open game with two teams really able to let their hair down now in these last 3 games of the season. And Sunderland were pushing for Europe. Maybe they still can, but I highly doubt it now. Brighton, on the other hand, are one of a few teams with a serious shot of European football. They host Wolves, and they have probably the easiest game of the trio that we're going to take a look at today. Another is AFC Bournemouth. Iraola will manage his final game for Bournemouth this month. Where's he going to go? Let us know in the comments. There's been reports of Chelsea, Manchester United, Real Madrid. Who wants to go to Real Madrid now? It sounds like a circus there, doesn't it? I mean, it's always going to be one of the top jobs, especially if you're a Spanish coach like Iraola. I think he could go Manchester United, but let's see what the summer brings. And Brentford away at Manchester City. They've had a few interesting results against City in recent years since they've been promoted. This one might be a step too far, so I think it is advantage Brighton this weekend, given the fixtures. Let me know what you think in the comments. Which of those trios will make European football? And an interesting thing to note right now, that Aston Villa are in the final of the Europa League. And if they win that and finish 5th, then the team that is 6th will take their Champions League spot of 5th. Which is really interesting for those teams that we've just mentioned, Brentford, Bournemouth and Brighton. Champions League football for one of them. Wow. So we will start with Chelsea, and this is their form. No win in 6 games and just 1 goal scored, which was at home against Forest in a game that they conceded 3. For Liverpool, it's been a mixed bag. We all know that this season, but they are still in the Champions League places as things stand, and their home form has been quite reliable. Only 2 defeats since October, just 3 defeats all season, and the only recent defeat was to Manchester City. Now, if we look at the over 2.5 goals tab, we can see that there are goals in Chelsea's away games at this moment in time. They are not able to keep a clean sheet. In fact, 9 of the last 10, and even more beyond that as we scroll down, have seen over 2.5 goals landing. For those of you new to the channel and new to the tool here, if you select over 2.5 goals, it changes green and red based on whether it occurred. We can also do the same for BTTS, and you can see that the colours change there. So, are Liverpool going to score in this game? I absolutely think so. Will Chelsea score in this game? Well, let's take a look at the goals conceded by Liverpool in recent weeks, at home as well. A couple of clean sheets in the last 2 months. They are a team that regularly concede this season. They've conceded in each of the last 4 games, including against Everton and Crystal Palace and Manchester United. One thing about Chelsea is that they still do have players that can hurt you. They're still earning a lot of corners in recent times as well. They've had more corners than their opponents in 7 of the last 10 games, despite the poor record. Another thing that stands out for me is the second half goals that are being conceded away from home for Chelsea. You can see here the only game since the start of January where they did not concede in the second half was away at Aston Villa. And when we look at second half goals total, we can see Liverpool's games often contain multiple goals in the second half. Just one game there, the Fulham game at home, since early January again, that did not contain goals in the second half. And I also want to introduce you to a brand new feature on the fixtures table. It is players. You can now access player data directly from the fixture, which is a huge improvement. Previously, you had to go to the player props tool. You can still do that if you want a bit more of a detailed view and access to the player profiles and everything, but we can now just take a look at some of the data points here. So we can, for example, take a look at tackles per game. We see Caicedo 2.77 in a league of his own. Reece James, Chelsea, Gravenberch. He is a player that I do like for tackles and to be fouled. Fouls drawn per game, we can see Gravenberch is there 1.18, Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer. Caicedo, he wins fouls and he is fouled. Let's put together a selection for this one. So my prediction here is a little bit more cautious. I am not completely sure which way this game is going to go. Chelsea do have the capacity to turn it on. They've got players that can score in a moment, of course. João Pedro's in good form despite the terrible results for Chelsea. And I think Liverpool will score. I think Liverpool will win. The odds were a bit low on Bet365, 1.83, but they are as high as 1.9 with other bookmakers. So you can potentially add that if you believe Liverpool will get the job done. Over 2.5 goals is also likely as well, because Liverpool have been conceding goals as well this season. But I'm going to go with Liverpool to score in the second half, Gravenberch to win a foul, and Chelsea to have over 2 corners in the game. Remember, they've had more corners than opponents in 7 of their last 10. They are still trying to score in games, but just not finding the back of the net once in the last 7 or 8 games, was it? Pretty poor stuff. Over evens for that then. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Let me know what you're on for this day. Now to the next game. And now Brighton against Wolves. We'll look at this game quickly for obvious reasons. Brighton firm favourites, Wolverhampton Wanderers. 2 draws in the last 5 games, but no wins since early March when they beat Liverpool, of all teams. I think Brighton will get the job done here. I think there could be some value on the unders market. Let's use OddAlerts AI for this one and see what it suggests. So we can generate analysis here. It's going to go away, use all the data that we have access to and create an analysis for us. Brighton have won 3 of their last 6 home games. Wolves have failed to win any of their last 6 away games. The head-to-head sees Brighton enjoying 6 home victories. The verdict, one-sided. Brighton should dominate and keep a clean sheet. Wolves lack firepower and are vulnerable from the start. BTTS no at 1.92 could be an interesting option. The draw at 6.6, interesting suggestion. Brighton may overcommit, leaving a window for a surprise equaliser. That has happened in a few Wolves games this season, hasn't it? One of the key stats that it's mentioned here as well, Brighton scores after 70 in 52.94% of home games. You can now ask a follow-up. This is available for all pro users now, and it now has access to player data as well. So we can say, what about a shot on target for a player? It'll go away and use the data that we have. Danny Welbeck tops the charts with 3.37 shots per game in his last 5 outings. The highest shot volume on the home side, suggesting he'll be the main threat on target. Of course, Danny Welbeck, if he starts, he's the number 9. Euron Mosquera leads the away team with 2.23 shots per game. So there is threat for Wolves potentially, and the odds might be decent given that they are such outsiders in this one. So I was going to combine the 3 p.m. kickoffs, but Sunderland-Manchester United is a tricky game to call. So this one, I'm going to go with the model here for under 4 goals. It's suggested under 2.5 goals, but under 4 is still 1.61, which I think is pretty decent. And Brighton to have the most shots on target takes this to 2.25. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Let's check out the next game. Fulham hosting Bournemouth, 2 teams that have had good seasons. For Bournemouth, absolutely sensational. Bournemouth actually had a blip as well. There was a point where they were conceding a lot of goals, and they've just steadied the ship once more. Iriola, he's adjusted again, and now they sit 6th in the Premier League with 3 games to go. Incredible stuff. Fulham, they go up and down, and at the minute I think they're a bit down. They have failed to score in quite a few games recently. If we look at goals scored here, we can see they are not scoring in a few games. In fact, in 6 of the last 10 games that they have played, and they've lost a few of them 2-0 as well. And now to look at Bournemouth's data, and we can see that they are unbeaten since the start of January. Just 1 defeat in the Premier League in 2026, and that was to potential champions Arsenal in a game where they absolutely held their own. And I mentioned before that there was a blip for Bournemouth. You can see the yellow and greens here. As we scroll down, this is the blip. They went from November to January without winning a game and conceding plenty of goals. 3-4-2, 3-4, 4-2, 3. And they played some decent teams in there, don't get me wrong. But Iraola himself said, we're in a blip at the moment. Not like them to concede that many goals. And he has absolutely steadied the ship and got them back on track. But if they didn't have that blip, where would they be? Seriously, they would be maybe 3rd or 2nd, or dare I say, pushing Arsenal for 1st. Iraola, where are you going to be for the 26-27 season? Who is going to be lucky enough to have you? Now, we mentioned Fulham not scoring, but at home, 7 of the last 10 games have seen BTTS landing. And the same is true for Bournemouth away from home. We are on the BTTS drop down here. Green means yes, red means no. 7 of the last 10 as well. We can also use the new player tab to filter for the last 5 games, and we can see that it's dominated by Bournemouth players when looking at shots on target percentage. So how many games did they have a shot on target? 80% for Krupi. If we look at the last 10, we can see Tavernier, 7 of his last 10 appearances, he's had a shot on target. He takes penalties, doesn't he, I think? Krupi there, 6 of his last 10. If we look at last 15, Tavernier is still up there for shots on target. Fair play. Krupi, Rocker, again, Bournemouth dominating here for shots on target. The first player for Fulham, when we're looking at the last 15, is Harry Wilson on 46%. Now, just looking at the last 6 games here in the Premier League across home and away games, we can see that there's been a goal in the last 10 minutes in half of those games for Bournemouth. They've scored after 70 minutes in 83% of those games. And if we just look at the goals scored as well, they have scored in 83% of those games in the second half. If we look at the last 10, it goes to 70%. So 7 of the last 10 Premier League games, Bournemouth have scored in the second half. And we can look at the Fulham data. It's not great, is it? I imagine if we turn this to the home form, it gets a little bit better for Fulham, but they're not in fantastic goal-scoring form at the moment. Quite a few cards this season as well. We're looking at home form against away form for the cards here, and over 4 cards on average. Bournemouth receiving 2.65 per away game. They have been booked in 94% of their away games, and Andy Madley is the referee for this one. Their opponents have also been booked in every game, as you would expect. So leaning on the data, here is what I'm looking at for this game. Marcus Tavernier to have a shot on target. Let's hope he continues that trend. He's 1.8 to do so. Decent odds, I think, given the data. Both teams to receive a card, and Bournemouth to score in the second half. 3.5. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Now for the final game, Manchester City against Brentford, this is one that I'm going to be posting about on Discord, so make sure you're in the Discord. You can join by going to the link in the description. I'll see you in there, and I'll see you in the next video for more daily football predictions.